How to write a story first. I think it would be neat to go over what a story is. By definition, a story is a narrative account of a series of related events, either real or imagined. Some people say a story is based on conflict. Nothing bad exactly, but it's the idea that something happened rather than nothing. If I were to write a story, the first thing I'd do is start with an idea. I'd imagine myself sitting down in the movie theater and watching the movie that I'd always wanted to see. I'd imagine the book that I had always wanted to read. I'd picture myself in isolation with only one book or movie for the rest of my life, a Western with cowboys, or a medieval story with knights in armor. Or do I want a story that takes place in the future with astronauts or aliens on spaceships? I once heard that the world goes into different stages of looking back or towards the future. If certain films aren't doing well in the box office, it could be that people feel like looking in a different direction. It has a lot to do with politics. If people don't feel great about an administration or president, they tend to look back on better times. If that happens, Westerns might do well. After getting an idea of the setting and character you'd like to focus on, I recommend daydreaming about an adventure. I would daydream about the world, characters, dangers. With an idea who I'm focusing on, I then decide the conflict. Conflict doesn't have to mean violence. Conflict could simply mean a problem need to be solved, like a man or woman struggling to pick up their hat. There's different kinds of conflict. Man versus man versus nature, which is a person struggling against an environment. Man versus self, an internal struggle. And man versus society, which is a person struggling with a man-made system. With all of that in place, it's probably best to consider the tone of your story. In theater, there's romance, drama, comedy, or a tragedy. The delivery of what's said can make a big impact on the message. I've dreamt of what the story could be when it takes place, what the hero could be dealing with, and how I want to say all of it. All of that work is design. I think it's nice to deliver a message. Writing can be different for everyone. It's the writing process. It's a creative endeavor. Think of something meaningful to say or not. But crafting a story without a message can be a lot like saying nothing. Having that idea of the message is good before or after the design work that was just done. At this point, you should have a story. You should have an idea of something happening to someone somewhere. And it means this, but movies are usually an hour and a half, and novels are usually 50 to 100,000 words. Plot is a set of meaningful events to help guide a story. Following the plot should lead you through the acts of your story. There are usually 3 acts. Act 1, the beginning and introduction to the problem. Act 2, generally the longest act, dealing with the problem. And Act 3, Act 1 in The Wizard of Oz. Dorothy walks around a hard-working farm and sings of better, more colorful times. The conflict of the story, the inciting incident, happens when Dorothy is blamed for destroying a neighbor's farm. Not only did she not help Uncle Henry and Aunt Em, but she's no good down the road. It's enough to cause a whirlwind. So off to Oz she goes. Act 2. Act 2 is often broken up into 2 parts. The hero dealing with what happened in Act 1, and then the fall into the underworld because of it. In Dorothy's case, she meets a bunch of do-nothings. Not a single one of them can help her out. She has to do something. Then, just like before, the Wicked Witch chases them all down. The midpoint of Act 2 happens when they see the wizard and get a job. None of them wants to do it. And the fall of Act 2 happens when the flying monkeys attack, Dorothy is captured, and the group rebounds. Act 3, Dorothy fights the witch. The one person bold enough to tell her to get a job, but Dorothy wins because the witch is too mean. The witch would hold people in slavery. Then it's the end. The denouement, the final part of the play, movie or narrative in which the plot is drawn together and matters are explained or resolved. It has always confused me that Dorothy is told she has always had the power to go home. It doesn't make sense, since she would never have known how to use magic shoes. I guess it must have been a life lesson she needed to walk through. I think the movie means to say, Everyone has the power to get to where they want to be with the help of their own 2 feet. Doing that means hard work pays off. Dorothy goes home. The story could also say that the grass isn't always greener on the other side. It could also mean there's no place like home. Writing doesn't have to have a complicated message. It can be simple. Having a message is nice, and the message can be as simple as saying, "I love you."